All right, so if you want to eat delicious, healthy, homemade meals every single night of the week, but you do not have a lot of time or patience, you have clicked on the right video. Because I've developed a 5-minute dinner prep system that makes homemade dinners during the week effortless. And here's how the system works. Each day of the week, we're gonna prep that night's dinner in under 5 minutes. And once the meal is fully prepped, it can hang out in the fridge all day or even overnight until you're ready to eat. When dinner rolls around, all that's left to do is toss it in the oven or throw it on the grill. And just like that, you have an absolutely delicious dinner with 5 minutes of prep and no takeout required. Now we're in absolute peak harvest season right now in late July. So a lot of the produce that's currently coming in that I'm harvesting is going to sneak its way right into these 5 different recipes. And for Monday, we're starting the week off with a loaded veggie and sausage focaccia that is sure to leave you with leftovers for the next day. And this is such a simple dough, it requires 0 kneading, which is exactly why we can pull it off under 5 minutes. All the recipes are linked below in a completely free Google Doc that you can download for your convenience.
And we're off.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is weigh out my flours. I'm using mostly all purpose here with just a little bit of whole wheat, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, some salt, and enough water to bring this dough up to an 80% hydration, which is gonna give us that super light and airy focaccia. Then all I have to do with this dough is give it a good mix together. And I find a bread whisk like this is perfect for the job of dealing with a higher hydration dough like this. And there you go, the dough is done, no kneading necessary. We're just gonna cover this bowl and let it ferment, and we're looking for it to double in size over the course of a few hours. And I've still got a few minutes left, so let's prep our veggies that are gonna get layered onto this thing to make it more of a complete meal. So I've got some nice red onion from the garden, which I'm gonna slice up. I've got the first little zucchinis coming in right now, and some beautiful broccoli. And I'm slicing everything up fairly thin so it will cook evenly as the focaccia bakes in the oven. Then I'll just pop all these veggies in a bowl and just give them a quick marinate in some oil.
All right, and done.
We've got a little bit of extra time, which is good because there's a tiny bit more prep once this dough has risen.
All right, so this should have pretty much doubled in size. Very sticky because it's 80% hydration. And because it's so sticky, I'm just gonna wet my hands in the water. And I'm just gonna give it one quick fold over like this, just to get some better form of it. Okay. And then when it's in a ball like that,
I'll bring in my sheet pan, perfect for a focaccia type dough with the higher lip.
Give it some oil, rub the sides down, come in with that dough, final turn on itself. Same towel, lay it over, and I'll just let that kind of sink into the pan and proof for another hour or two.
All right, so check this out. Whoa, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
The first thing I'm gonna do, I've got some Italian sausage here. I'm gonna cut it out of the casing. This is pork, but you can use any ground meat as long as it's pretty fatty. You want it nice and fatty. So we can use that fat to help cook the veggies we're about to add. Just spread it around. And then I have my veggies here, marinated in oil. We're just gonna pop them right over. Don't be scared to load them in. And then this is the most fun part. We're just gonna kind of press all the veggies and the meat right into the dough. So it becomes one with the final focaccia product. And then finally, I'm just gonna give it a little fresh mozz. And this thing is off the oven, 450, 20 minutes. You've got yourself a delicious meal. Here we go. Last step, I just have some grated pecorino. And you definitely wanna let this cool so it will release nicely from the pan. Whoa. From this texture, I don't see there being any reason to knead or overwork your focaccia. Like, come on.
All right, my friends, it's Tuesday, so we had to go with a little Taco Tuesday. We are making fish tacos.
All right, so this is the star of the show. This is striped bass from Montauk,
Or they call it striper here on Long Island. Seasonal fish that I just picked up at the fishmonger this morning.
and it's just a beautiful, firm white fish, so you could replace that with any other firmer white fish that can handle the grill. And we will start the timer.
So first I'm gonna season the fish, and to maximize flavor while keeping things really simple, simple. I'm simply gonna hit it with some salt, and then I have this fish seasoning blend that was in my spice rack, but this is super customizable. You can use whatever seasoning you like on your fish. Now I'll set my fish aside, and I'm gonna prep my veggies for a grilled salsa. I've got some cherry tomatoes on the vine, which is very important because I don't want these little tomatoes falling through the grill. But you could also use larger tomatoes like this and just slice them in half. I'm using both types today because that's just what I had on hand. Then I've got some more of those nice red spring onions. You can use regular red onions, and I'm simply just gonna slice them in half. Then everything gets tossed on a baking sheet with a drizzle of oil. I'll add the fish right on the same sheet. I'll drizzle some oil on the fish as well, and our grill prep is done. Now these tacos needed a quick, delicious sauce, so I'm making a really simple avocado crema. Into a container goes an entire avocado, the juice of a few limes. I'm adding a little bit of apple cider vinegar, some fresh cilantro and basil, which is what I had growing in the garden, a clove of garlic, a little bit of olive oil, some water, and finally some salt to season. Then I'm just gonna pop my immersion blender in to get this nice and silky and smooth.
A little more water. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna take this out to the grill, leave this behind, and I'm also gonna grill some tortillas with time to spare. Now what's really nice about this is I can make this in the morning, pop it in the refrigerator, and let this fish marinate. And then when you're ready to eat, you just take this out to the grill all on this sheet pan and you're good to go.
All right, now we've got some nice grilled flavor on these veggies, and we're gonna turn them into a really simple grilled salsa. All I'm gonna do is add some fermented hot sauce. This is a jalapeno sauce that I made from last year's harvest, and that's obviously gonna add heat, but it's also gonna add that kick of acidity that this salsa needs. Then I'll just chop up those onions with some scissors, and I'll mash everything together, and just like that, our grilled salsa is done. I'm just filming you because I'm eating this for dinner. Sucks.
It sucks. Wow, it has so much flavor. Delish.
Like,
I've never used sea bass. What is it? Striped
it's
bass?
striper, yeah.
It's
Long
good.
Island's finest.
It's good.
It's like meat, super meaty. So I just want to take a quick minute to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Kettle and Fire. And I've been a big fan of their bone broths for years now. I always have a few stocked in my pantry for that instant flavor addition to countless meals I'm making throughout the week. But if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I am a huge fan of cooking with animal fats. So I was very excited to hear that Kettle and Fire was making a beef tallow, and this stuff is fantastic. It comes from 100% grass-fed, grass-finished cows, and this for me is another pantry staple. It's one of the most versatile cooking products you can have in your kitchen, because not only does it have a super high smoke point, but it's also a very stable fat. So there's no better way to get a good sear on some steaks or some burgers while adding a rich, savory flavor at the same time. So you can take a simple dish like some roasted potatoes or roasted veggies to an entirely new level just with one ingredient. And this isn't some highly refined cooking oil. It's simply rendered beef fat, and that's exactly the kind of product I like keeping in my pantry. So if you're looking for a really easy way to level up your cooking, definitely give Kettle and Fire beef tallow a try, and you can get 20% off your order when you use code MikeG through the link below. All right, we're moving right into Wednesday with a little deconstructed pork and cabbage casserole bake. And I first saw a version of this on Instagram and just absolutely loved the simplicity of it. So I riffed on it a bit until I got something that was truly the laziest version while still being a complete nutritious dinner.
All right, let's get things started.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is just pop some rice in my rice cooker, just about a 1-to-1 ratio of white rice to water, set it and forget it, and boom, our rice is done. Took about 30 seconds. Now now we're gonna work on this pork mixture. I'll dump some ground pork into a mixing bowl, and I've got some beautiful garlic chives from the garden, which I'll quickly just chop up, but regular chives or green onion will work perfectly here as well. And I'm gonna grate some garlic and some ginger directly into this pork. I'll hit it with a little aromatic sesame oil and some salt and give everything a nice mix. Boom, filling done. Now outside of the rice, this is a one pot dish, which is why I love it so much. And I'm using this little crock pot, but any baking dish or casserole dish is gonna work great here. And I've got this super fresh and crispy Napa cabbage from the garden. And all I'm gonna do is layer it with the pork mixture. You pop a layer of cabbage down and a thin layer of pork, and you just keep repeating this until all of that pork mixture is gone. And for making this dish a few times now, I will say you could easily slip in some additional veggies at this point. Now, right on top of the cabbage, I'm gonna be adding some kettle and fire chicken stock, some soy sauce, a little black vinegar, and a little bit more salt. And this quick sauce is gonna steam everything together while also creating this salty, savory, umami-packed broth that's gonna become the sauce to this dish. Now, this can sit in your fridge all day or even overnight. And when it's time for dinner, it goes in a 425-degree oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. And what I really love about this dish, besides how simple it is, when this is served with rice, you've got a complete meal right here. Your protein, your veggies, and your carbs. And if you've got something fermented, like some kimchi to serve alongside it, even better. All right, so it's Thursday, and by this point of the week, I'm usually starting to get a little bit tired after cooking for 5 people all week long, which is the perfect time to slip in this super simple chicken wing grill platter. And it starts with these chicken wings. I've got 2 packs here, and I'm just gonna toss them right into a large mixing bowl. I'll add in a few tablespoons of flour and some salt. Now, you can season these up with whatever you want. I'm keeping mine fairly plain for kid feeding purposes. And you just wanna give those wings a good toss until they're evenly coated, and this very thin layering of flour is gonna add a nice additional crispiness to the wing. And that's it, 1 minute and the chicken wing prep is done. Now let's prep these potatoes. I've got some medium-sized potatoes here, which I'm gonna slice into 1/4-inch rounds. Then I'm gonna layer those onto a sheet of foil. I'm gonna season them with salt and pepper. Then I'll go in with a few scoops of that beautiful kettle and fire beef fat. I'll fold over the foil and seal up those edges. Then I'll add 1 more layer of foil to make sure we've got a nice secure pouch with 0 leak. And the final element of this dish, since we're right in the season, is gonna be some sweet summer corn, which just gets a little oil and salt, and that's it. We are ready for the grill. And we're off. Now you can serve these wings plain or toss them with whatever sauce you like. I'm going in with some barbecue sauce that I love. I'll spread a little butter on that corn, open up those beef fat potatoes, and it's time to serve. And I will say, I got a little impatient with the potatoes. I would have preferred them slightly crispier, and they definitely would have gotten there with just a few more minutes on the grill. But we're in a heat wave, and it was approximately 1,000 degrees outside, and I was done with the grill. That being said, the leftover potatoes crisped up so nicely the next day in the air fryer. All right, so I've been eating so well all week, and I say that with full sincerity because every single day I've filmed one recipe and I actually eat these meals for dinner that I am prepping for this video. So I've been a very happy customer, but I think I've saved the best recipe for Friday. We are making some Arayes, these incredible Middle Eastern stuffed pitas.
All right, let's give it a go.
We're gonna start with the filling. I've got some nice ground beef here, and to save some time, I've got this little Middle Eastern spice blend that I already had on my spice rack that I love. It's got tons of flavor built right in, but really any Middle Eastern spice blend or combination of spices you like is gonna work here. I'll also add in some salt and pepper, and I'm gonna grate in some garlic. And then I've got a mix of some fresh herbs coming right from the garden, which I'll chop up nice and fine. Now, half of those herbs are gonna go straight into a container of Greek yogurt yogurt that's about half full. This just worked out conveniently and will save me cleaning a bowl. And it will become a full sauce in just a second. And the rest of the herbs are gonna go right into that beef mix. And I've got some store-bought whole wheat pita here. And you wanna make sure you get a pita that has an actual pocket in it. I'll slice the pita right in half. I'll give the meat a quick mix and I'll start stuffing the pita. Now, how much you add depends on the size of your pita, but I like to flatten these out to about the thickness of a nice juicy burger. That way they'll cook nice and evenly on the grill. And oh boy, that took a little longer than expected. We've still got 2 more things to prep. So back to this yogurt sauce. I'll squeeze in about half of a lemon, grate in some garlic, and I'm gonna grate in some fresh cucumber to give it that tzatziki vibe. I'll season it with some salt and I'll give it a mix, and our yogurt sauce is done. And we have 1 minute left for the final bit of prep, which is simply chopping up whatever vegetables I had fresh in the garden. Today I've got some cabbage, some broccolini, and some asparagus. These are all getting a super rough chop. I'll hit them with a little bit of oil and salt because they are going straight to the grill.
Close call. The whole wheat pita I used was a little bit fragile, so I lost one in the grill.
How good does this one look?
Yeah, this is my favorite one.
I mean, it's got burger vibes.
It's like kind of like a patty melt.
There's some crispy parts to the pita and then some like greasy kind of sauce. Like I can hear some corner crisp.
Yeah,
That's
delicious.
And then you get your veggies
You eat your veggies
from the garden.
from the garden. I eat that every night.
Grilling, yeah, that's a good one. Grilled cabbage, underrated.
So underrated.
We grew a lot of cabbage. Best cabbage here
Ever.
by far. I mean, look at this.
Not even half of it yet.
Comment in below if you've got some cabbage recipes.
This is so good.